Good evening, everyone. I am so glad you were able to join us this afternoon for our third segment of our Wellness Wednesdays over meditation and mindfulness. This is the third of the 6-part series. So welcome.
Thank you.
If you could all please mute your sound, that would be great. Our presenter is Radula Kalmra. She has been with us each night telling us how to meditate and be mindful about our lives, and it's been quite wonderful, and I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. Again, if this is your first time, Radula is a current classroom teacher at the DAEP campus in Houston ISD. Before we begin, find somewhere comfortable in your home that you are free of distractions for the next hour. We are going to give away more freebies at the end for those who participated last week, so make sure you stay to the end to see if you are a winner. We gave away 2 books and a meditation cushion last week, and we have 3 more items we're going to give away tonight. But you have to be present in order to win. We will also have a question and answer session at the end. You can place your questions in the chat box as we go, and then the moderators, as well as myself, will go through there at the end and hopefully get answers from Radula, for clarification on the subjects that you need more help on. We are having a little bit of a technical difficulty tonight, so I have my phone on. Radula is listening to us through the phone, but we are able to hear her, but she is not able to hear us. So just bear with us as we go through this. So without any more introductions, Radula, I am going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So, good evening, everybody. I'm going to actually review a few things from last 2 sessions, and I was making my notes here that people said they felt moment of stillness, and that was a good thing. So I hope you are increasing that stillness time more. Some of you said you couldn't make it past 4, and that's also okay. And somebody said that they were able to go up to 20. I think that was Cindy. So, and somebody said you can hear your breathing. And somebody asked that if total silence is necessary. Quietness always helps for beginners. It always helps when there is less distraction. So, like Chanda said, that yes, the goal is to train your mind. And then I'm still reviewing all the chat questions. So there was something, I read a comment about someone saying it builds your respiratory wards of coronavirus. And actually there can be another session on that, because there are a lot of exercises, breathing exercises, which builds your lungs capacity. So that's like a whole new world of like a respiratory, it's called pranayama. I think first day, Jamie introduced that word to you guys. It's called pranayama, or breathing exercises, and there are like a whole bunch of them. Maybe after this series is over, maybe we can start that one. But I can share two breathing exercises with you, which will help you, which is like a alternate breathing. You must have heard like a breathing in from left side and breathing out from right. And same, like then alternate this, then and start with 5 minutes of this. If somebody can do it for 15 minutes a day, that is wonderful. And there is another one which is like you don't voluntarily kind of inhale, you are only kind of exhaling, forcing the air out. So it's hard to see that right now, but I'm going to try to explain that to you. So when you sit in your meditative posture, and you can place your hand on your belly, and you feel belly going in and your breath going out. So in the beginning, you have to train yourself So push your belly in, and I will do this. Say it looks like this. When I'm doing it, so I'm only forcing air out through nostrils. I'm not trying to breathe in, but air always goes in. So it's not that you're not breathing in. It is still going in between. But this exercise is very good. It even helps losing weight. I've heard that, and there has been some research on that also, and people have lost weight when they do it for like a longer period of times. So again, starting with maybe 3 minutes, building it up to 15 minutes a day, very good. And that kind of, these two exercises, if you cannot do any other breathing exercises, at least these two, and they will help build lung capacity. So I guess we can touch base on other things, because I spent time on this breathing exercises on some other things later. So we can get started with our presentation, today's presentation. Let me share my screen. Today's topic is going to be emotions. So we're going to explore emotions. And see, there is a quotation over here. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And they teach us all the time. Teachers are always taught that, building that, even we don't need to react, we need to increase the response time and all that. So this space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So this quotation sometimes, this is ascribed to Viktor Frankl, described a powerful benefit of mindfulness practice. It is our focus for the week. So when we survey, the landscape of our lives and reflect on the best and most challenging times in our lives, we are usually thinking about emotions. And our emotional experience is deeply meaningful to us, even if we don't consider ourselves particularly emotional. Drama of joy and sorrow, love and anger, kind of security and fear, it is poignant. When we reflect on our hopes for our lives, we see that our goals are often the service of experiencing particular emotions. And when we hope for something, we are typically hoping to feel in a particular way. And emotions, perhaps we can say, is the juice of life. Over time, we are training ourselves to meet our emotional life with more clarity and equanimity. And training is a gradual process, as we know. Over weeks or months or even years of practice. And we have many small successes in meeting emotions mindfully. And these small successes will foster a confidence that we can be open to our lives. And even when life is intense, we can be open to our lives. As the fear of being overwhelmed dissipates, life becomes so much more open, and mindfulness makes our inner life feel safe. So gradually, mindfulness changes what arises in our experience. So we experience more care and kindness, love and compassion, less anger, worry, and much less sense that there's something missing in our life. So that's what, when we are mindfully working with our emotions, That's what will happen. So we are going to start meditating now. Jamie, we can do the music, and I will be still talking. And when I need to end this, I will ring a bell. So we can start the music. You can take your seat for the practice and establish your posture. Spine should be extending up towards the sky, and rest of the body is hanging loose from that pillar. The softness in the face, the shoulders, the chest, the belly, sensing downward pull of the gravity. Yet the spine gently extending towards the sky. We are not trying to force anything. Just relax. As we settle, we find our life's experience of now. Once you bring your attention to your breath, you will be experiencing what is happening now in your body and around you. In this sitting, you might rest the attention with the breath, offering the blanket of the awareness from the beginning of the inhale to the end of the inhale. And then slight pause. And then the beginning of the exhale to the end of the exhale. Again, blanketing the breath and the awareness. Of course, the mind has its own plan. We begin to detect the movements of the mind, movements of the mind. We place it, the places it goes, the past, the future. All these movements are to take care of ourselves. So if mind is going in past or future, it's only trying to protect us, to stay safe, to find pleasure, and to keep us secure. For now, we can put all that aside and find the ease and safety with this moment and this breath. While you breathe in, silently make a note, breathing in. And as you exhale, make a silent note, breathing out. When mind goes elsewhere, just acknowledge. And if it helps, use anchor words and come back to your breath. Again, blanketing the breathing in the awareness. So we're going to have few moments of silence. And then I will ring the bell. So, yeah, we can stop the music, I guess. So this poem is like a kind of a very touching and very to the point. This is from Jalal in Rumi, like kind of Sufis, and I'll read this to you. Won't take that much time. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. So welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. And be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So Rumi beautifully illustrated the benefits of entertaining our emotions through mindful awareness. Even difficult emotions can later open the doors to greater understanding about us. We each have different ways we experience and express emotions. But whatever our emotional style is, our experience of life is profoundly affected by our emotions. And there is so much to learn about ourselves when we bring attention to our emotional patterns. One strong human tendency is to focus on negative experiences rather than positive ones. And another common tendency is that when our moods are negative, we want things to be different, sometimes desperately so. But when we are feeling just fine, often we don't fully notice our positive or neutral states. And of course, this is not always the case, but if this sounds like a familiar story to you, the challenge for the week is to be mindful of the full range of your emotions, positive and negative, without judging them or without analyzing how the situation could be different. Notice when you are feeling delight or peace. So we have to understand our brain a little bit. Our brains are wired in ways that that were critical to survival of our distant ancestors, actually. So those who survived were able to avoid danger by assessing and quickly reacting to threats. They were always on the lookout and alert to anything negative that might be in the vicinity. So, have you ever watched a deer walking through the woods and their ears twitching, their movements deliberate, often looking over their shoulders and ready to run at the first sight of threat? Perhaps we can see parallels between this type of behavior and the deer and our own patterns too. So evolutionary changes move very slowly, but the world around us has changed rapidly in the last few hundred years. Most of us today are not challenged by the same threats that our early ancestors faced. So, however, our brain still vigilantly guards against negative experiences to protect ourselves. An area of the brain responsible for threat detection and fear responses is the amygdala. If the deer senses something move in the bushes, that information travels through the brain, sorts through the memory of past events and outcomes, and goes to the amygdala. And that takes information and categorizes it as danger and sends out a fear response, directing the deer to run for its life. So it is primed for vigilance and attention to threat. And negative experiences are stored in the memory and typically are more easily remembered than the positive experiences. This way, our brain can compare new experiences with the old ones. So it is an effective system for keeping our species alive, or any species alive. This feature of mental processing is still useful in modern times, and it keeps us safe and sometimes helps us avoid experiences that have made us fearful or unhappy in the past. And our brains are hardwired to search for negative experiences and not the positive ones. Unless a positive experience is felt very strongly and repetitively, and a conscious effort is made to store it, then it is processed at low priority and may not be memorable. Therefore, bringing mindful attention to positive and even neutral experiences is so important. Though our brains are wired to seek out the negatives, the use of mindfulness can counterbalance that by giving attention to positive experience. So this week, our focus is not on pushing away the negative, but rather giving attention to the full spectrum of ways we respond or react to situations in our lives. Now, we need to distinguish between emotions from thoughts. So thinking about something triggers an emotion, and in a response to the thought, and it can also work in the opposite direction. We may first feel an emotion. This then triggers thoughts relating to our emotions. And often a thought comes as a triggers an emotion, and then triggers more thinking. And sometimes it feels like attention is kind of ping-ponging from thoughts to feelings and back again. So part of mindfulness practice is stabilizing the attention so that there is less experience of being bounced around by our emotions. So without mindfulness, we can easily get sucked into a storyline in our head without being conscious of how it is affecting us. And for this reason, we will learn how to identify and put our attention on the emotions rather than on the storyline. So as you practice mindfulness this week, try to become clear on the distinction between emotions as it manifests in the body and the accompanying mental stories. So how do they affect mindfulness of emotions in the body? So how do they affect our body? So sometimes emotions hit us all at once. When difficult emotions arise, it is like being buffeted by strong winds. When we see images of hurricane and the wind blowing, trees sometimes snap, things get broken, we're learning that even though the winds are blowing in our emotional world, nothing can be blown over. Anger, for example, feels like it will tear us apart inside if we don't act on it. But it cannot. It won't blow anything over. We learn to accept the feel, the impact of any emotion, and trust that we can weather the storm. I have seen that happening with me over the years. The same things I will get angry about, and now I can just let it go. It doesn't affect me anymore. I don't get angry for the same things I used to get angry. I guess I can give credit to mindfulness or whatever I do. So as a first point, it is good to recognize our emotional idle point. Just like a car engine is supposed to idle at certain point, say for example, 500 RPM, there are times when the idle point may be much higher, say 2000 RPM. Similarly, we may notice that there are certain situations where our emotional level is idling much higher than the usual. So during times when the emotional idle is higher, the body and mind feels less balanced. And it is not that one day we can do and we will always be same all the time. It all depends upon our physiology and surroundings and the experiences we have had and what mind is connecting us to at that time, what's happening in the mind. So that time mind feels less balanced and less relaxed and more prone to reactivity. It could be sometimes just simply hormonal. So it's helpful to see when this is happening for us. And in all of this, the body is your guide. The body is your guide. We are training to listen to our emotional body more deeply. So we're going to do another guided practice. And we can start the music, and I will be going through some words. I will talk, and then we will have some silence, and then the bell. So Jamie, can you please start the music? So you may take your posture. You may close your eyes, or you may just focus on something, some object, or just simply breath, as we do in our mindful practice. One of the deep learning in mindful practice is to learn to attend emotions as they manifest in the body. We might scan our body as needed, starting in the skull area, the face, the throat, the chest, the body, and the belly. Because a lot of people feel emotions in their gut area. We may be able to detect certain types of sensations that seem emotional or responses to what is happening inside and around us. Body feels different when in intense joy compared to when we are frustrated. Some of the differences might feel like contractions in the chest with challenging emotions and a sense of expansiveness and lightness. Emotions are like fingerprints in our body. We are learning to attend to this with mindfulness and equanimity. These emotions, what they do is they steal our wisdom from our responses that are being driven to our habitual reactions. So take a moment to reflect. Some things that bring a great deal of joy, a moment, a person that brings you great joy, and notice how does the body feel? What is the evidence in the body that you are happy in this moment? These sensations may be centrally located or spread out broadly across the body. They may be intense or subtle. You might know what emotions are arising or what emotion is arising or might be, or it might be just vague. So we can attend to the emotional circuits of the body with mindfulness. So as you go about your life, I encourage you to keep touching back into your body to learn to listen to your emotional body, to feel its feelings. And as we bring mindfulness to this emotional body, we can also bring our wisdom to what the appropriate response should be. Do I need to do something? Or is it just a passing emotion that can be allowed to be there? So take a couple of moments into these emotional circuits in your body, and then I will ring the bell. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit about self-control, because mindful meditation has three aspects, as you can see. One is the attention control, other one is the emotional regulation, and then self-awareness. When these three are working, when we have control over these three, that brings the self-regulation. So what is self-regulation? So self-regulation is the ability to control or override one's thoughts, emotions, urges, and behavior. And that's what we're trying to do with our emotions and awareness. So self-control allows for the flexibility to morals, laws, social norms, and other rules and regulations. And as such, it is one of the most important and beneficial processes in the human personality. There's a evidence is linked. There's a huge number of research going on, and the evidence has linked good self-control to a broad range of desirable outcomes, including healthier interpersonal relationships, greater popularity, better mental health, more effective coping skills, and reduced aggression. So mindful is helpful in all these. And of course, superior academic performance, that is one thing we are all interested in, as well as less susceptibility to drugs and alcohol abuse. And there is a reference here. I didn't get a chance to see if I could print out the full article for you, but maybe we can send it to you later. So when is self-regulation most likely to fail? This is very important because all of us have that problem. So there are certain conditions under which self-regulation is most likely to fail. And in these circumstances, we need to take extra care to be mindful and support healthy choices. So the neuroscientist Heatherton writes that the most common conditions under which self-regulation fails is when we are in bad mood, when minor indulges snowball into full-blown binges, when we are overwhelmed by immediate temptations or impulses, and when control itself is impaired. And so these are the times when we need to take extra care of ourselves. As we can exercise muscles to get stronger, we can exercise our self-regulatory capacities also. We can expand our pool of self-regulatory energy. And mindfulness is the one way we can practice this. So that brings us to this, again, this model is being used in school systems, that stimulus and response thing. But I'm adding another part to it, which is mindfulness, So that reaction time or the response time, we're increasing it with mindfulness. Without mindfulness, we have stimulus and reaction. With mindfulness, we have stimulus, mindfulness, and then it will be a response. So as we begin to strengthen our mindfulness and start to apply it to these situations, we create space between the emotion and the reaction. And sometimes strong emotions can be tricky to navigate. When we are experiencing something like anger, we often fall into our personal pattern of reactions. So these reactions might take the form of lashing out or retreating or overreacting or suppressing. Sometimes these reactions can happen so quickly and so unconsciously, and we might feel regret after we have reacted. But with mindfulness, we will not have that problem. So this space might just be a couple of seconds, or it might be a day of reflection. Either way, it gives us the choice of respond to the situation rather than just reacting. So and there are some strong emotions we experience. So strong or difficult emotions often get judged as wrong or bad or inappropriate because they are potent and might make other uncomfortable. So in mindfulness practice, it is important to understand that we're just observing these emotions without needing to add extra judgment. Strong or difficult emotions can motivate us to do something when we see injustice. And when mindful awareness is carefully coupled with these strong emotions, they can be powerful guiding force towards effective resolution. And remember, there is internal experience and external expression. So mindfulness asks us that we allow internal experience to flower while using our wisdom to determine what is the skillful external expression. So we can be mindful and passive, mindful and expressive, and we can be mindless and passive or mindless and expressive. So please explore for yourself. So this capacity actually will create confidence to act appropriately during any emotional experience instead of just letting the experience control us. See, this is a very good model, ARC, antecedent, response, and consequence. So David Barlow, he's a psychology professor at Boston University. He's a leading researcher of interventions to support emotional well-being. I think our counselors must have heard about him. And so in managing difficult emotions, he highlights the centrality of understanding the emotions and becoming more aware of emotions. It is critically important to become more awake to our emotional life and understand our emotions in empowering ways. So he has actually a treatment guide in which he highlights the value of tracking the ARC of emotions. And being equipped with that kind of knowledge can help us anticipate our emotional responses and prepare accordingly and see where we can direct some of the energy of our mindfulness practice. So, to conclude, we're going to focus for practice, this week's practice, we are going to focus our attention on our emotions during the day. You may use a journal to write down what you notice about your emotions. And you can see if they change from day to day. And if so, what place did they change? Or what pace? Where do they change and what pace do they change? Was it obvious to you how you were feeling? Or how did you decide what you were feeling? And how were the mind and body interacting to create emotional experiences? So these are some practice suggestions. That brings an end to this session, but I want to add one thing. Choose an emotion you don't experience often. When you are practicing these emotions, choose one, the one you don't experience often. So when the emotion arises during the week, see if you can get to know it by noticing how it feels in your body. It might show up in the body, and if there are any recurring thoughts or accompanying feelings, if it shows up, then what happens next, your thoughts and feelings. So notice that and then see what happens, and that way you can have a better control over it as they start to manifest in your body. So back to Jamie.
Okay. Yes. Okay, I am. If you are not a member of Texas AFT, please visit our website at texasaft.org to become a member. The Bridges Institute for Professional Development is a 501c3 nonprofit that has brought these wellness sessions to you, but in support with Texas AFT. We would love to have you as a member. There's power in numbers, and we would love to see you there as a member. Some of the resources that we shared in the first week, there were some apps, but then a friend of mine she sent this, Rita sent this to me, Mindfulness Coach from the Veterans Affair. It's a free app that you can download. I downloaded, and it's really got some meditation time on there. Again, aromatherapy, essential oils, and the 2 books that we shared, and then the 2 winners from last week that won those books. So it is prize time. So those of you who participated last week for more than 30 minutes were put in the drawing. And so our first prize is going to be yoga and mindfulness practices for children, the card deck. And so just depending on what level you teach, you can pick for young children or for teens. So if you are here, if you will just put in the chat box, like, hey, I'm here, or you can unmute yourself and say that you're here. Just email me back with your address and the item that you won so that I can remember. Is Astrid Maxon here? Astrid? No? Okay. Jonelle Wilson. I know, I saw Jonelle. Jonelle, are you still here?
Yes, I am, Jamie.
Yay, Jonelle, you are the winner of yoga and mindfulness. So if you'll just email me your address and tell me if you want the one for children or teens.
Okay, thank you.
Yay, congratulations. So our next prize is going to be Aware by Daniel Siegel. This is a book that Radula recommended, The Science and Practice of Presence. Jeanette Escontrias. Jeanette, are you here? I don't think I saw that name. Winnie Rose. Winnie Rose, are you here tonight? Winnie Rose. Finn Han.
I'm here.
Finn Han.
Yes, I'm
Yay.
here.
Okay, you are the winner of Aware. If you'll just respond to the confirmation email with your address and just put that you won the Aware book.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. And the last prize is a diffuser, and it comes with 2 oils, lemon and lavender. And if you don't have one of these are great. I have one in my bedroom, and it's wonderful.
Oh.
Dina Donaldson. Dina Donaldson. Are you here tonight, Dina?
Yeah.
Dina? No Dina. Okay. Ira Camp. Ira Camp. Are you here tonight?
Yes, here I am. Here I am.
Okay, well, you are the winner of the diffuser and the 2 oils. So just respond to the email with your name and that you won the diffuser and your address, so I know where to send it to. I'm going to launch the poll tonight, our evaluation poll, and we actually do go through this. So if you could just go through and quickly answer the questions about tonight's session, I would greatly appreciate it. And after you answer the questions, if you could just put in the chat box where you're from, because we have no idea where, we know most people are in Texas. I know we have one lady from Utah, but if you could just tell us like where you're from, I'm just curious if we're from all 4 corners of the state. And be sure to share these sessions with any of your fellow educators, school personnel. They're open and they are free to members and non-members. I just think this is great in this time. I know I have learned so much, especially tonight. Seems like, you know, the longer that we're doing social isolation, the more we probably feel angry and just unsettled. So great session tonight, Radula. It was very good. I am going to end the polling.
Hello?
There is our contact information if you have any questions. And we can take questions for tonight if anyone wants to ask any questions. Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask a question. What is the background music that you all use because it's so soothing and calming?
I actually found it on YouTube and I put the link in the chat box. And I will post it again in the chat box, but it is on YouTube. It's no commercials, 7 hours. So you can listen to it all day long.
Cool. And I wanted to ask one more question too. Who is Rumi? Rumi or Rumi? Who is that?
Rumi.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a poet. Rumi is a poet.
Oh, okay.
And I think Google is, internet is full of it. And it's like Rumi's poetry is it's like if you search for Sufism, it's more like a Sufism based poetry.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Could you show the poem again?
You're welcome.
I just posted the link to the music in the chat box.
Thank you so much.
I can find a link to Rumi, a good one.
Okay, but I wanted that particular poem.
Thank you.
I wanted to see that.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions?
I wanted to see.
Yes, Jamie, this is Ira again. What do you need for me? I need to send you my address.
Yes, if you'll just respond. Yes, if you'll respond to the confirmation email that you received today, reminding you about this session, that's my email address, jwomack@texasaft.org. Just respond with that with your name and your mailing address, and then that you won the diffuser.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
And so you all come back next week because we'll be giving away more prizes for those who participated this week that have to do with, to help you with your meditation and your mindfulness. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, I wanted to know, it looks like y'all recorded and wondered where you can get the recording.
Yes, if you go to the Texas AFT website, it's texasaft.org, and across the top there will be a banner. You will see the advertisement for Wellness Wednesday. Just click on that. It'll take you to the page, and we have posted all of the links to all of the videos. Give us a day or two to get this one up because we try to edit out any dead space, and then we post them to the website.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, that ends our third session. We will see you back next Wednesday at 6 o'clock for our fourth session with Radula. You all enjoy the rest of your week and happy meditation.
Happy meditation. Thank you.
Thank you.